Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you a 3 vs 3 on Carpiquet, and in this one I'm going to be playing the 716th Infantry Division. I'm going to be playing with Haymaker and Bet, who are using the 12th SS Panzer and 116th Panzer respectively. And then I'm playing against Coreofexistenz in this one. He is a relatively well-known Steel Division streamer on Twitch, so make sure you check out a link to his channel in the description below. He's also playing with a couple of teammates in this one, Salmonite and Apples, and both teams in this game are on voice communication. So it turned out to be an extremely fun game, and it's quite a long one. So what I may suggest is get a cup of tea or whatever beverage is stereotypical for your country, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. So either way, let's have a look at what my strategy was going into this game. I'll switch it to my point of view, although I will be going back to neutral perspective every now and then because it was a really interesting game, and I actually watched the game back from my opponent's point of view since he streamed it, just to see what happened, and it was really enjoyable to watch. And yeah, there was a lot to sort of take from that, watching it from our perspective or our opponent's perspective as well. Either way, yeah, here we are with our setup. Myself and Bet were set up to take the town on the left side, and we were going to leave Haymaker to the dogs on the right. So Haymaker's got the 12th SS Panzer. That means he's going to be bringing in the Firefly. He actually chooses to bring in both the Firefly and the Cromwell at the start of the game. These are the Beuter Cromwells, the captured ones, and the Beuter Firefly with a Befehl Panzer II. This is quite an expensive start already. He's got an AT gun there and some recon on the left side. However, what actually happened was there wasn't too much going here to contest these bunkers, which are generally quite something that's contested a lot. So it was interesting to see Haymaker's strategy, but either way, I was busy focusing on the left side with these Osttruppen. We got loads and loads of Osttruppen. Got recon squad on the far left just to cover this field, and then we've got the Osttruppen to move up into the town, supported by IG-18s and Pak-37s. They've also got a couple of command infantry here as well, and then on the right side there's a couple of Bet's Panzerwerfers supporting more Osttruppen and another IG-18. There's also a couple of Panzer IIIs here. Bet's deciding to bring up a Befehl Panzer III and a Panzer IIIL, and those were more to contest the right side of the town on the right side or the left side of the airfield from our perspective. I also have a unit that's actually going to the centre of the airfield, and this is quite simply to just hold the front line. I can pretty easily sit an infantry squad in one of these bushes, and it should be safe from recon unless the recon gets relatively close. But the meanwhile, that's going to be, you know, holding the front line there, and that's the idea of that one little squad. And I would recommend, if you're on that map, always sneak an infantry squad into at least one of these bushes on the airfield, just to make sure that you do have control of that. So my Aufklärer have arrived on this left side. I'm going to put them on to return fire and move them up so they don't get spotted from opening fire on anything. And then I've got the Kubel MG, that's just going to remain hidden there, provide presence on the far left side. My infantry is moving into the town. Off-map artillery has already come down here, and that's basically really early. I would recommend that you don't ever really use your off-map artillery that early unless you're certain that there's going to be enemy troops there, because in this case I saw that coming. I can just avoid that. I can just unload my Osttruppen early, and I can just completely redirect all these chaps to the left side, although I'm pretty sure they were already directed over here anyway. And what's going to happen is Betz is going to be using both of his Panzerwerfers just to pin down and harm a lot of the infantry squads that were moving up in this direction. So he set all of those buildings alight and made it quite difficult for the opponent to move up. Flamethrower tries to make his way across the street here and gets mown down by some Osttruppen, which is fine by me. And now there's a little bit of a tank engagement going on here. Panzer IIIs up against the M8-Spahie. So these Panzerwerfers, they were so useful throughout the game. Bet's using these to basically support me as I control my infantry in the town. And that's basically what he was doing throughout the entire game, really, was just providing more of a supporting role and an armour presence on the airfield. So the engagement's going to continue here for quite a while, so I would settle in and wait for a hard slog in this town. I'm slowly moving up my fire support weapons, the IG-18s, to give me a hand, and I've also got the Pak-37 here as well. IG-18 rolling up the road, and currently an MG-42 just sitting behind. But getting these Osttruppen up towards this hangar seemed like a good idea until I bumped into some Nueve and the airborne Vickers squad, and both of those together are going to rip to shreds the Osttruppen there. And here comes more off-map artillery. Can't really expect any less from the 6th Airborne player. Fire for effect coming in there, pinning down the majority of my Osttruppen, but not killing off squads entirely and leaving quite a lot of the buildings still alive. So I was still quite well entrenched on the left side. We've seen one barrage go down already. This was the second. So I'm waiting for one more now, and then I should be safe from off-map artillery until phase B and C. My IG-18's moving up here. I've got a couple of Osttruppen still pushing their way to the right side to engage the Nueve. In the centre you can see this Osttruppen squad literally sitting here, and they can't see it at all, but it's still affecting the front line. Over on the right side, Haymaker's having a little bit of a hard time here. He hasn't moved up too far, but he hasn't lost his units either. He's come up against Stuart on the road, and he's just reinforcing these bunkers on this left side. Currently only being held by a Speertrupp at the moment, but the beauty of a Speertrupp is they do have their own MG34, which does allow them to provide quite a lot of presence. IG-18 is going to be opening up on the Nueve as they attack my Osttruppen, and over here Betz is going to be bringing up a supporting 259 to help me deal with the airborne Vickers. Have the IG-18 on target as well, so that's going to consistently pin those guys down. Last airborne artillery coming in now. That's going to be destroying the Pak-37 as well as a couple of Osttruppen squads. But Betz is replying with his own Panzerwerfer, which absolutely decimates the squads that I'm fighting against. So we're making some ground in the town, and if we can push them out entirely, then we're going to be having a great time. And here, these airborne parriers don't know where to run, walking through fire all over the place currently. So Betz did unfortunately lose his Panzer IIIs here to the M10, which, I mean, is kind of inevitable because the M10 has the 1,200 meter range. So if you're engaging an M10 at max range and the other player's smart about it, those Panzer IIIs won't last too long, which is exactly what happened. And it was a bit unfortunate, and, well, Coreofexistenz is now pushing in with multiple M8 Spahies, these recon vehicles. However, there is a Pak-38 here. Betz is also using a 250-10 half-track, which does have 5 AP power, so if that actually hits an M8 Spahie, it does have a chance of penetration. Either way, over on this left side, the 259's running backwards and forwards from Betz. I've got the Elfkladder here, and some Osttruppen are getting killed over on this right side of the town, but not too much to worry about. Osttruppen are expendable at the end of the day. Now bringing up a couple more IG-18s to support my push into the town. Osttruppen haven't been dying too much, and I have brought in the majority of them already, but they're still sticking, which is nice. I just need to reinforce with more fire support weapons so that I can keep these Osttruppen alive. So with the 716th, the main objective really that I find is you use your Osttruppen and other infantry, and then you just support them with these fire support units in order to stop them from dying. Because if they die, then you lose ground. And in general, it can't really be stopped by anything other than these fire support weapons. So these are extremely important part of this strategy, bringing these in to help stem the bleeding of Osttruppen dying against whatever you're up against. I'm getting mortared pretty hard here. One of my IG-18s did go down. The Pak-37 is going to go down as well. These IG-18s are well out of range though, and are helping with the Nueve that are pushing on to Betsy's Panzergrenadier. Got to be pretty careful though, because now the half-track is trying to pin down that IG-18. Spitfire's going to be coming in and strafing a Flak 88 that I brought in. This is quite an expensive investment. I just thought it would be nice to prevent the enemy vehicles from pushing all the way across the airfield, because he's relying a lot on these M8 Spy, the M10s, and if they realise that all it's holding the front line here is an Osttruppen, they would drive straight through. So it made sense to me to bring in a Flak 41. Quite a large threat to the majority of these units to take them on. Another Osttruppen going to be dying over on the left side. This IG-18 is going to get mortared to death as well. The most annoying thing about one of these decks, the airborne decks, is that they do have the airborne 3-inch mortars here, which at 2-star veterancy really do a lot of damage very quickly to enemy squads. So yeah, these airborne mortars, really nice investment in order to take out the fire support weapons that are so key to my strategy, which was really slowing down the push. Now you can see my Osttruppen are running low on ammunition, most of them getting low on MG ammunition entirely. But it's not too much of an issue, because as long as they're not firing, they're not being shot at either. And that means that they're not going to die as easy, meaning I hold the front line. Currently though, we have to realise that I'm losing +1 to the opponents. 52% territory lead favours the opponents at the moment. Now they're going to be bringing in some Hurricanes here. This Hurricane's going to be taking on this Pak-37 that pinned down a lot of these Stuarts. And then these Hurricanes are going to be attacking this Pak-38 owned by Haymaker. My MG-34 does get pinned down there in the bunker. I was just trying to assist Haymaker on the right with holding this bunker complex. This IG-18 though, that's going to fire away and actually help stun the Stuarts, and this Pak-37 is still very much alive until the Hurricanes come in for another strafing run. But I've got my ME-109 in the sky now, and my opponent's actually going to retreat both of his Hurricanes, so I'm going to come up here with my ME-109, get on their tails, and hopefully shoot down both of them. Got to be careful from all of these 50 caliber machine guns, but if I can kill 2 Hurricanes, that would be fantastic. So I'm just going for the kills here. I kill one, the second one gets away, and then they bring in a Hurricane to shoot down my ME-109, and that's pretty much how that ends up. Betz is going to be using his Panzerwerfers there to destroy the enemy mortars as best we can, and he does manage to take out one. The second one is, however, retreating now. He almost manages to pick off the Willys OP, although this wouldn't matter since the opponent had already used up all of the artillery strikes. Either way, I'm still holding here. I don't actually have too much infantry. Osttruppen are slowly dying, but are maintaining a front line, which is nice. I'm actually going to be bringing up a Panzer B2 now. This is pretty much to provide fire support that cannot be killed by mortars, because I'm constantly bringing up IG-18s at this point, right? And my IG-18s on the right side are being killed, the IG-18s on the left side are being killed, and so have the AT guns. And that's quite simply because of the mortars up here, and then over on the right side it's just basically down to the M8s and the M10s. So what can I do to basically get around that? Let's bring in the Panzer V2, because that can't be taken out by a mortar hit, basically. So this Flak 88 is causing my opponent's problems, which is really nice. The Flak 41 is basically holding up his armoured push into the centre of the map, and we have now moved into phase B, so I have more of these available. I'm actually going to be bringing up an AT gun here to basically make up for the fact that my Flak 41 is soon going to die. Little bit of an air engagement going on here. I think throughout the game it was just sort of aerial skirmishes going on. IG-18 is alive over here, so that's able to keep eyes on the bunker complex for most of the game, but the majority of the land that we've lost at the moment is over on this right side, mainly due to Haymaker being stretched pretty damn thin. Either way, I'm now bringing up some more infantry since we have hit phase B and I'd already used up all my Osttroppen, so in come the Italian infantry to push against the airborne Bren group. This Osttroppen makes the mistake of showing itself, gets decimated by the M8 Spahi and the half track there. And in come a couple of Mosquito Pathfinders. So this is the 6th Airborne player coming in with those napalm bombers, and they do hit a lot of my infantry pretty hard. But I'll say this, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Those napalm planes shouldn't be used against infantry in towns or in any buildings. Because as you saw right then, what happens is the infantry just jump out of the buildings. Yes, okay, a couple of my squads are going to burn to death, but the majority of them stay alive because they just literally jump out the buildings and everything's okay. Over here I'm just going to move my Panzer B2 to the right side, try and not get it killed by the pack there, the pack 40. And I now have my Osttroppen supported by the Italian infantry here, moving up to gain control of this far right side of the town so I can start pushing up the street again. Panzer B2 is going to be the weapon of choice here to help me deal with as many of these infantry squads as possible, and you can see that it's definitely doing the job. Betz is also going to be bringing up his Panzerwerfers to give us another strike into this small tree patch. I was basically waiting for that before I started moving up my Italian infantry, moving them up staggered just to make sure that they don't get all hit by like the same mortar or something. But there you go, Panzerwerfers off again. This time going to be smashing that infantry squad. I lose the IG-18 over on this right side, and Hurricane Mark IV stays in the sky for way too long. Myself and Betz are coordinating an ME-109 strike at the moment to try and get rid of these Hurricanes, and if we can, well, that would be a nice weight off our back, really. Typhoon Bomber going to be coming in. That's going to go for the Panzerwerfers of Betz. Is going to hit them and make them fall back, but not actually going to get the kills. Betz's ME-109 is trying to get on the Hurricane here. It is very damaged. Eventually he gets on target and shoots it down. My ME-109 makes the mistake of flying over a lot of 50 caliber machine guns, gets forced to fall back as well. So this airborne Bren group here, these are some sole survivors of the Panzerwerfer strikes, and if I can get rid of them I can get rid of this big old jut into the front line. So just starting to move towards them with some Osttroppen here and getting the Italian infantry on line of sight as well. Panzer B2 is going to help destroy that building and the infantry squad inside. My MG42 does die down here and gives the opponents even more ground. So currently we're still running a +1 for the opponents, and it's a bit of an issue. We need to make back the ground where we can, and we've basically made as much ground on this left side as we can. What's happened here is the Panzer B2 is going to be hit by the Typhoon Bomber, then basically forced to fall back, and this pack, well, it did have line of sight, tries one shot, doesn't land the shot, and my B2 gets out of there, so that was pretty lucky. Either way, need to make back this ground here. Betz's Panzerwerfers are actually quite exposed, but I'm bringing up this pack 40 that's been sat there for a little while now just to stop the tide of tanks that are building up against us. We can obviously steal this thanks to you know, just having units here in general. There's not really actually much recon to spot all this. It's simply because I have an Osttroppen so far up, but it's finally been spotted and is being hit very hard now by multiple tanks at max range. Pack 40 is going to get destroyed here. Coreofexistenz use of the M4A3 was actually really nice with that 105mm gun to basically not drive into range of the AT gun, but still use the gun, basically fire position just in front of the range of the AT gun in order to get those kills. So Haymaker's going to be bringing in his ME-109s here. He's actually going to shoot down one plane here. is going to be engaging the P-38 Lightnings now, and also the Spitfire Mark 9. I'm bringing in my own ME-109 to help out. The Spitfire does go down, and now Betts is going to be getting onto this P-38 Lightning with his ME-109 and shooting that down as well, and that was a big win in the air war. Our opponent brings in the Mosquito Pathfinders. If we still had ammo on these planes, we would have been able to go for them. I can't really go across the centre of the map at the moment because there's so many 50 cals. I am going to try and latch on to one of the Mosquito Pathfinders though and have a little go, but as you can see, I'm going to be forced to fall back there before I can shoot it down, which was a bit disappointing, but either way, don't lose my plane, so that's fine. It's now brought in 2 more Flak 88s, and you can see that the M4A3 is going to be engaging those at max range, but I do manage to pull my Flak 88s up far enough to actually shoot back. So I am going to eventually destroy the M4A3, which was basically one of the most potent units that the French had to deal with my Flak 88s. Now I think at this point, if we look from the neutral perspective, I'm pretty sure Coreofexistenz played this very safe. He brought up this 81mm mortar, which was really nice to actually help deal with the Flak 88s, but the trouble is with this 81mm mortar is that it's the same range as a Flak 88, so he's got to be careful he doesn't get it into range, and he was trying to do a good job of firing just in front of where the Flak 88s were moving forwards to take those out, which is a really nice idea. So basically what happens, it's actually quite a good concept to explain. If both units use the same range, the person who is attacking has a disadvantage, because the person who's defending has the choice of whether or not they engage, because they can reverse, right, away from the thing that's coming towards them. And what you can do in this case is you can keep this mortar here. I'm forced to move the Flak 88s forwards to engage that, to kill it off. And as long as he keeps it out of range by just firing in front of me, I'm never going to get in range to shoot him back. In this case, I managed to get the PaK-40 close enough, kill off the mortar, which had already done quite a lot of damage. It did kill off an AT gun down here earlier on, but here comes an M4A3 again, and that's going to demolish this PaK-40. Either way, if we jump it back to my point of view, we can see that we are making progress now with the Italian infantry into the town. Betts is bringing up his own Panzer Grenadiers, the 2-star ones from Phase A, coming in handy. And he's still got these Panzerwerfers alive, so they've been assisting us throughout the entire game so far. Maintaining my infantry presence on this far left side of the town, just to make sure that we control the front line here. Aufklärer spotting anything that comes across this field, so I'm pretty sure there's nothing there. So it's basically just a matter of getting to the far side of the town so we can deal with all of this infantry. And what's going to happen? Well, Panzerwerfer comes in again, actually accidentally hits Betts' own unit there, but either way, does force back a couple of these airborne paras and the leaders there. Enemy Typhoon is going to get shot down by Haymaker's BF-109, and our air coordination was really, really nice in this game, I felt. You can see myself, Haymaker, and Betts all have ME-109s, which are taking on the enemy air force. It was quite funny there. Typhoon actually nearly goes straight into the Panther there. Actually, I think that's actually a Hurricane that landed. But either way, over on this left side, Italian infantry still pushing as hard as they can, getting pinned down all over the place, but still pushing forwards. Bringing up command infantry just to replace the Grenadier that I thought had died, but it hadn't, so I just had a second there in case. And now it's pretty much reliant on Betts' infantry since I'm running pretty low. We have just moved into Phase C, so there is going to be more Italian infantry available, but I'm investing a lot of points into Flak 88 in the centre of the map, just to hold back the tide of the French, and also maybe to try and push back. So here I'm using the fast move up the airfield, and as you can see, this looks really damn cool. And then what I'm going to do is just unload them and let the Flak 88s go to work. So you can see that's just going to pop the command card there, and I'm just going to slowly wheel these chaps forwards to start engaging the opposing tanks, and he's going to be forced to fall back away from that. I'm just spreading them out slightly to make sure they can't get hit by like one artillery strike. Probably should have spaced them a little bit more, but either way, that'll do for now. Artillery is coming down onto this Flak 88. You can see our opponent has invested in these long-range howitzers in order to deal with the Flak 88s for Coreofexistenz, but this couple extra in the centre really foiled Coreofexistenz's plan to push onto us in the airfield. I reckon if he'd done it earlier on when I just had an Osttroopen unit sitting up there, then he would have been able to actually roll right through, but since he probably thought there was AT guns covering the centre, which there was in some case, but not as many as you would expect, yeah, he didn't actually push forwards because he was apprehensive as to what was defending. Either way, at this point, the town engagement's still going on. It's absolutely deadly up here. There's so many infantry dying. We've got the airborne parriers still going ham. We've got a Typhoon coming in with two 15 HE power bombs to try and get rid of Betz's Befehl Panzer. And he's got another Panzer IV here as well, coming up to assist us with this push. Great thing about Panzer IIIs is they do have the 3 MG34s, which do pin down enemy squads very quickly. Bet's going to be coming in with his couple ME109s, and Haymaker's going to be hitting the 17 pounder as well over on this left side, but they were spotted by my Aufklärer. I'm actually bringing up a Pioneer Führer over on this far left, simply to push forwards the front line as much as possible, and now we've brought it back to a 50-50. So Haymaker's basically got a bunch of Panthers building up here in order to push towards the centre, whilst he's just continuing to hold this right side with a little bit of my assistance. There is my own IG-33 here. My IG-18 and the MG that I brought over died earlier. But again, more Panzerwerfers from Betz firing away to assist us in moving forwards. And basically this was the story of the game, where I was bringing up my infantry and Betz was just using his fire support to help us advance. But now, since we moved into Phase C, I actually have access to railroad battery artillery, which is awesome. It gives me access to 380mm barrage, which is incredible. So I brought that up. I'm going to be firing that on to concentrations of infantry when I find them, allowing myself to continue throughout the game. I'm also using my half tracks that have brought up my Flak 88s to continue to suppress enemy infantry. And the Flak 88s at the moment in the centre are currently being crippled. However, they have done their job and they are holding back the tide of French armour, allowing us to concentrate more on the left side. So my artillery now coming in onto the opposing positions, trying to do as much damage as possible to allow my new Italian infantry to come up and make some ground. And this is basically the last of my infantry. This Italian infantry basically has to win and push forwards, or we basically risk being pushed back entirely. You have to remember though that our opponents have also used up the majority of their infantry, so they're going to be running pretty low as well, especially considering how attritional this battle was throughout the town. You can just see the absolute devastation that's going on down this road here as the units continue to fight on over basically what is rubble. It was absolutely insane. Just constant gunfire backwards and forwards between the airborne units and my Italian infantry. Do have some off-map coming in there onto what I assume to be the enemy artillery, just to make sure they can't kill all my Flak 88s as easy. Going to see the Pathfinders come in there and land a couple of napalm strikes onto our units. That is going to kill off one of my Grenadier Führers, but fortunately still have the Pioneer Führer there. Brought up some ME109s to try and counter that aircraft, but both of them managed to get away, so that was unfortunate. But here, Italian infantry still going hard. These Italian infantry sitting currently in the open due to there being no buildings to occupy. Over on the left side, I use these ME-109s to just finish off the 17-pounder that's sit in there. And Betz has now just used his Panzerwerfers to stun a group of units moving forwards in the middle of the map. Another Typhoon coming up now. That's going to be dropping 2 15 HE power bombs straight on top of these Panzerwerfers, again affecting their morale but not getting the kills. Also the Pathfinder brings in its flame bombs, the napalm bombs. This Panzerwerfer is going to be trying its best to get out of that as well, and thanks to the 2 front armour of the Panzerwerfers, they're actually having a pretty hard time killing them off. It does lose the Nebelwerfers, which were used here as well. One of those went down. But in general, the majority of the artillery survived once again. So that annoyance just getting worse and worse for the opponents. Haymaker is going to be losing his ME-109 here to a couple of these aircraft. However, he does manage to trade 1 for 1. The Tempest going down there. And well, continuing the engagement, Tempest is actually going to leave. And since that occurs, well, ME-109s have a chance to come in and shoot down that plane as well. So there goes another Mustang. Basically waited. My ME-109s I think were actually on cooldown whilst Haymaker was fighting, so I was basically desperately trying to get them on the field to help us out. So yeah, the attrition was just crazy here. You can see a lot of my infantry squads getting pretty low on health. My Pioneer Führer for some reason managed to just stand there and take it. They're actually firing their 22 HE power grenade to try and take out an M5 half track and nearly do the job, but not quite, and do get killed, unfortunately. One of my fire support vehicles there getting shot down, and just trying to get my Osttruppen into cover and so on, using the Italian infantry to move up and try and take out a couple of half tracks, because I don't really have much else to deal with those in the town currently. Haymaker's finally starting to make his push in the centre of the map. He's brought up multiple Panther Ds. It's actually 4 Panther Ds assisted by the Panzer II and the Beuter Firefly. There's also a Befehl Panther following up alongside another Panzer II. The only issue I have with this is that they're not spread out enough. Like, one artillery strike could literally stun the whole lot, and that would basically render 4 Panthers useless, which is a lot of points. Each one of these Panthers is worth 250 points each. Nothing to shy away from, and you've got to make sure you look after them. Befehl Panther as well, that's 280 points, so this is like a ton of points invested in the centre of the map. Now Betz is bringing up more Panzer Grenadiers. He's also brought up a Panther G to roll down the street. It's literally just a street of fire though currently, which is absolutely insane. Our opponent here, we're actually seeing the Polish player bring over some Supremacy to help assist with the amount of infantry that is needed over here. However, here go Betz's Nebelwerfers to crush this push in its tracks. And that's absolutely the best thing about rocket artillery, is it really can deny the opponent's pushes in certain areas, and I've mentioned it before. So I think I've got just a few more infantry squads available. The last infantry coming in now, the last of my Italian infantry. The Osttruppen died long ago now. It's just a matter of making back the final push and getting these pesky allied troops out of the town. I've even brought up Fusiliers now to assist in the front line, because that's pretty much all I've got left in terms of mainline infantry. Bringing up even more infantry here alongside an IG-18, and I'm also going to be bringing up my second B2. I've brought up a Pak 43 over on the left side, and that's going to help me deal with these Tetrarchs, and now is currently firing at the Pak 75mm over on the left side. Napalm going to be coming in on top of my Italian infantry and the Fusiliers there, going to be burning them to death very quickly. I'm bringing my ME-109s in. I really want to kill these mosquitoes. They kind of avoided me for the majority of the game, which is really irritating. What I end up trying to do there is just use the ME-109s to stun the enemy AT gun so that my Pak-43 can recover. That's pretty much the gist of it. Tempest was brought in by the opponents, a bit of a mistake because it does just allow Haymaker to turn his BF or ME-109 round and shoot that down pretty quickly. And now I'm basically just strafing infantry in the town. One of my ME-109s is going to be forced away by the opposing AA. But we do manage to kill off an infantry squad, so that was quite successful. This AT gun, still not dead, does manage to bail out my Panzer B2 in one shot, which was irritating, but either way, my bad for moving that too far forwards before clearing that enemy AT gun. I think it eventually goes down to the tech truck there, but I am starting to slowly make some ground. There's actually an IG-33 I've brought up on the left side to assist me in moving further. Bet's going to be using his Panzer Grenadiers there with the Panzerfaust to try and take out the half track. My Italian infantry are actually engaging a Polston there. In the centre, what ended up happening was multiple airstrikes came in and hit Haymaker's push pretty hard. And now we can see, well, the Befehl Panzer IV going down. We've see one Panther D going down here as well, and the Panzer II all being killed from multiple sides. If we jump to the neutral perspective, well, we've got the 17-pounder on the right with an Achilles, and then you've got the M4A3s with their 1200 meter range dotted about as well, along with another 17-pounder on that left side. So the Polish player really having to support as much as possible over on this left side. Bet's bringing up his Panther G. It's rolled all the way up now, and we've finally made some ground. He's actually able to shoot directly down the road here, hitting one of those trucks directly and killing off the squads instantly. There goes another one. Our opponent not respecting that. Mosquito's going to be coming in with its napalm, hitting the Panther G hard. Pak-43 going to be killing off the Voltigers there. And finally, we've broken through in the town. And blimey, that has certainly done my voice in, as it was incredibly intense throughout the entire game. It was constant, absolutely constant infantry fighting. There was not a moment in this game where you could not hear back and forth machine gun fire. And that was just so fun. This AT gun over here, this was actually pestering me for so long throughout this game. Really good use actually of this Pak 75mm from Apples, keeping that alive for so long and being so annoying with it. I do shoot down, or do shoot it up eventually with the ME-109s, and here you can see I'm trying to get onto the back of the Mosquito, which has just brought in some bombs and forcing the Panther G to fall back. I do manage to get on its tail eventually with a 2-star ME-109, and that Mosquito is going to go down. So Haymaker has been pushed back pretty hard in the centre. He's lost even more of his Panthers here. He's currently got left a Befehl Panther, a Panther D and a Panzer IV. However, we're pretty much starting to steamroll over on this left side now. Betts has brought up his own Panther Gs from his Winton deck to really help us out. My Italian infantry's made their way all the way forwards. My IG-18s slowly rolling on by, and yeah, all of my infantry pretty much is moving up. Also brought up a Werflammen here. This is to help us with even more rocket artillery, as if we didn't have enough already. And I'm also bringing up some Flak 88s, because who doesn't love a couple of Flak 88s to make a difference? We're also constantly being hit by airstrikes, so that's another reason to bring those Flak 88s into the fight. Typhoon going to be coming in here with the 215 HE power bombs, and finally the second Panzerwerfer is destroyed. Also, the 17-pounder does take out a Panther G. It's just up to me now to use this Werflammen to hit an enemy hard point, and I can continue to move forwards with my Fusilier squads. Pretty much just relying on Fusiliers entirely now as my mainline infantry. Still got to deal with the majority of this armour in the centre of the map, but we are now at a +1, which is great. So the Allies do have 1,133 points at this point. We only have 350, but we do have that +1, 52% territory lead. After pushing back Haymaker in the middle, I don't think Coreofexistenz could really push any further forwards, especially after my Wehrflammen got rid of a lot of the units over on the left side. And we also have airstrikes coming in and affecting the morale of other tanks on the right side. So the Panthers, they would be able to deal with all of these units very nicely unless they get hit by some form of airstrike or artillery, like in this case. ME-109s from Haymaker coming in there, getting hit very hard by 50 caliber fire. This ME-109 was lucky not to get shot down. Hurricane going to be brought in there. That's got the rocket pods. Doesn't actually end up using them as far as I'm aware. Over here we can see the Flak 88s being pinned down. 17 pounder does pop one of the Befehl Panzer IVs, which does mean that my Flak 88s were stunned for even longer, but I've got my ME-109s in the sky, and here comes a Mosquito Pathfinder straight into the line of sight of both of my ME-109s. And what I'm going to do here is allow this ME-109 to try and catch on to the Mosquito Pathfinder, and then the other one target the Tempest. But since this Mosquito Pathfinder is actually faster than both of my ME-109s, what ends up happening is the Mosquito actually gets away, and I'm just left to shoot down the Tempest. So unfortunately that Tempest is going to go down there trying to save the Mosquito, but it did its job. The Mosquito got out alive again. Either way, Betz is moving out to the right side now with his Panther G, and that's going to be popping one of the M4A3s. It's also got a Pak 43 here that's going to be able to help him out in destroying this 17 pounder and this M4A3. My planes are flying around in unison at the moment, picking off infantry squads here and there. And we're pretty much well aware at this point that our opponents are running low on infantry, of course, because otherwise they would have continued to pile them into the town. And they couldn't, so yeah, we're just holding here at the moment. I've got multiple Fusiliers which are spotting so many things, plus my Italian infantry that was left over from my final push, and a few Flak 88s, and that's pretty much the perfect combination in my eyes. We've got Fusiliers, Italian infantry, IG-33s, Flak 88s, and this Mosquito coming in here is going to get hit pretty hard by the Flak 88s, but not enough to stop it dropping its bombs. And again, another napalm strike is basically going to melt this half track, but not do too much damage to the infantry in those buildings. Trying to move this Italian infantry across in the open. Going to wheel forwards my Pak 43 to help deal with the airborne scouts. And yeah, we're really starting to make a difference in this game. Haymaker has redrawn his battle line and started to wheel forwards once again, this time with 3 Befehl Panthers, really extremely accurate tanks. So it's wheeling those forwards to help deal with these Fireflies. And if we jump to the neutral perspective, well, the majority of the armour in the centre of the map has actually been taken out at this point. So the French are in a pretty dire position, because the majority of their armour is great for Phase A and B, but as soon as you get to Phase C, then they're having trouble dealing with our Panthers. I do have a Firefly killed here that actually gets popped, I believe, by the Pak 43, or one of the Flak 88s maybe. I actually didn't see that kill just then, but my IG-33 is trying to do its best with its 27 HE power to stop these M10s from advancing. Typhoon is going to be coming in with its 2 15 HE power bombs, but it's going to be forced back by the Flak 88. And the best thing about these Flak 88s currently is they have so much strength, so even though they're down to 4 health at the moment, they were originally at 12, but that's basically the only reason they didn't die, because they have an initial strength of 12, and now I've got 3 of these guys still alive, and they're still able to pop these M10s and the M4A2s and so on without too much punishment. I've also brought up a couple of these LEFH 1419s now. These are relatively long-range artillery, 1600 meters, not too bad. 14 HE power is enough to basically dislodge AT positions from range. I'm going to be using my ME-109s here just to get rid of that Jeep supply vehicle over on the far left. And then just going to continue to move forward some Aufklärer and the Pioneer Fury here. Also bringing up a Befehl Panzer 35, and the idea of bringing that in was just to defend the opening on the left. I know I'm up against a French player with not much armour left, the 6th Airborne player who was relying on Tetrarchs, and the Polish player who's probably not got too many Fireflies. So I decided to use these Panzer 35s just to hold the gap there, and if they get too close, they're going to get popped. By the way, Flak 88s are still rolling forwards and doing a lot of damage. IG-33 certainly stunning a lot of units as well. And I've also got the LAFHs aiming on target as well. The majority of this infantry back here could have been moved forwards actually throughout this game, but you can see at the middle, in the middle now, well, Haymaker's certainly started to make a dent, and he's actually bumped into Sammonite's sextons at this point, which was the main thing holding back the rest of our infantry, and if those sextons go down, he's going to be in a very hard place. So Sammonite actually bringing in Hurricane Mark IV here to help stem that tide of the Panthers. But what's going to happen here, as you can see, is both my ME-109s, this one's going to manage to get onto the Hurricane here, but this Mustang Mark III in the top left actually manages to get out alive, and so does that Hurricane after both of my ME-109s actually run out of fuel, since they have been flying around for a while. And as you can see, well, Fusiliers moving forwards here to provide recon for the Flak 88s, as the Flak 88s continue to move on. Do you see the bombs come in there from this Focke-Wulf 190, just try and do a little bit of damage to anything that's in the tree line. But yeah, just moving forwards with all of my recon squads, all these Fusiliers being used as my frontline infantry, running on forwards, followed up by my Flak 88s, whilst in the middle of the map, Haymakers really doing a ton of damage with these Panthers. Furthermore, Betz has his own Panthers, which have also been doing work throughout the game. So we've got a lot of ground going here, and I want to keep going, so all of my infantry is pretty much just suicide charging forwards at the moment. We need to make a +3 really to win. We're currently getting a minor victory in 5 minutes and 40 seconds because we do control 63% of the map, but the main thing that we need to do is just maintain the +2 or even get a +3 to make it a more convincing victory. What ends up happening is a wonderful napalm strike does burn the majority of my Fusiliers to death, and a second napalm strike does finish off one of my Flak 88s. So that was kind of annoying, preventing my infantry from moving forwards there and just letting them burn. This IG-18 also going to be going down to the napalm. But I do have a HS-129 now that is able to come around and kill both the M8 and the M10 in one pass, which was beautiful. What I did there was I right-clicked the M8 and then I shift-clicked the M10 Greyhound, so that after the M8 Greyhound was dead, it automatically started to fire at the M10, and one shot luckily was enough to take out the M10 in the side armour, so that was beautiful. Also bringing back round the HS-129 there to have a go at the Firefly, but that gets taken out by Haymaker's Befehl Panthers. So our strategy here was, well, pretty crazy. It was very attritional. Basically, loads of infantry supported by the Panzerwerfers, then finished up with Panthers and Flak 88 combo. Really, really nice combination. Typhoon, though, is going to come in and really damage the Flak 88, taking it down to 1 health there. ME-109's not really able to get into range of that because Typhoon is so quick, and that's the main issue with using ME-109s compared to Focke-Wulfs. But yeah, ME-109s tend to do the job in a dogfight. But we now broken through to +3, 68%. The main thing that I would like to think about during this game is what could we have done better, and I guess it's mainly just to do with infantry spreading and just in general maybe not using so many infantry squads at a time. So you can often, if you're relying a lot on support units like artillery or even just like direct fire support like IG-18s and IG-33s, what you can do is rely less on the amount of squads you have and more just straight up on that support, on those support units. And that's maybe what we should have done in this game, just to preserve more infantry moving into the late game. And we did a lot better than the opponents in preserving our infantry, because if I jump to the neutral perspective at this point, there's literally nothing left. There's a couple of sniper squads from Apples. He's got the Willys MMG there. And that's the only thing that's holding the front line on this left side, stopping us from taking control of pretty much all of those land reinforcement points. Over on the right side, this pocket of Polish units is slowly getting whittled down. We are seeing the advance of Haymaker's own Flak 88s here, the Pak 43, and his and some Panzer 3s here moving up from Betz. So a little bit of a push going up here, pushing onto Shermans and the Firefly. But with us winning the game, well, after 47 minutes and 29 seconds, our opponents surrender, and Coreofexistenz calls it a day after we kind of basically breach through the town and then decimate everything on the other side. The opposing team just basically, what ended up happening was the Panthers just got too much, and yeah, that's just how it ended up. So it was quite a long game. I'm not entirely sure why the timer was so long, because I didn't make the lobby personally. I joined into a lobby with Coreofexistenz to play this game. But it was a really long game, and it actually gave us more of an advantage. If it was like a 40-minute game, then there was a good chance in that, that would have forced us to push a lot harder earlier on. But we had the time to work it out, so we took that time, and eventually we rolled over and won the game. And there you have it. So if we jump to the team perspective, you can see that there was a lot of kills and losses on both sides of things. Mine was an incredibly attritional score with 3,540 kills to 3,210 losses. So lots of units being lost there. Bet's doing a fantastic job with the 5,040 kills to 3,045 losses. Mainly comes down to his Panther use and also the Panzerwerfers getting so many kills before they died. Then we see Apples here. He did relatively well, 2,000 to 3,000 losses. Samanite actually losing a lot of troops, but his Polish deck really not really up to scratch when it comes up to, or comes up against basically our combination of forces. And then the French deck doing very well, Coreofexistenz playing relatively well. Only thing I would suggest is maybe he should have pushed harder in the early to mid game, where he had like an overwhelming armoured force in the middle of the map, and I think he kind of got distracted by the town when he could have like pushed over towards maybe Haymaker's side and you know, really exploited the hole that we had in our front line. Obviously he maybe didn't have the recon information he needed to make that happen, but in hindsight, you know, that's the strategy that probably should have been used in this game in order to hit us very hard in phase A and make sure that we couldn't come back like we did in the late game. But either way, a really, really nice game. We're pushing on to about 55 minutes of recording. This has absolutely destroyed my voice here, but hopefully it's worth it for you guys. It was an incredible game. Really, really enjoyed it. And I mean, you can go to Coreofexistenz's channel, his Twitch channel, and I'm sure you can find it there if you want to watch it back from his point of view. But either way, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.